beautiful people. Thank you for tuning in again. I have a special guest I want to chat with you about, but give me a minute just to get connected to Instagram, and then we will begin. And let's see. Looks like we are live everywhere. So hello, beautiful people. Welcome to my channel. I just am so excited to continue talking about the bundle. And today I have with me Chef Val, Macro Val, and she's a contributor to the bundle. And I am really excited to learn about her contribution, about her, and so many other fantastic things. Just really quickly to let you know, if you haven't gotten the bundle yet, you have until March 10th, and it's an amazing deal. It's over 83 contributions worth of $5,400 roughly, and you get it all for $49. So feel free to click the link in the chat. You can also find it on Chef Val's page. And so Chef Val, give us a little intro and let people know where they can find your link if they want to buy the bundle.
Well, hello, Jennifer. Thank you so much for having me on. And yeah, I'll introduce myself. I am Chef Valarie Wilson. I live in the beautiful state of Michigan. And I have been in business for 28 years, teaching healthy, vegan, organic cooking classes. I am the author of 7 books because my 7th book is in the bundle. And I also do counseling sessions where I can work with food and help people overcome health issues using food, because food is medicine. I also am a personal chef, so I have clients that I cook for every single week. I absolutely love food. I'm still creating new recipes to this day. And so that's my business background. Now, personally, my mom likes to tell the story that I actually created my first recipe when I was 9 years old, because I was making a recipe and we didn't have an ingredient, and I went ahead and just substituted something else and it came out good. Oh. And so my mom was my first cooking teacher, because when I was a kid, I would go in the kitchen and I'd cook with her. My grandmother made fantastic pies. And so I had her, also my grandmother. And then my first job, I was 17 years old, and I went to work at a delicatessen where we made pizzas and sandwiches and subs and soups. And by the age of 18, I was managing the delicatessen and running the whole thing.
Wow.
I worked there, which actually that was my first job, but I loved it. I was working with food. And then after that, I was a manager at a French bakery and restaurant. And that was delicious. I learned how to make bread from scratch, like French bread. But the problem with that is, being a manager, I also got like free food, French bread. So I did put on a little bit of weight, but not much. I'm pretty short. I'm 5'1". But anyways, I worked there for a while, and then I discovered healthy food. I was to the point where I'm like, okay, I started like researching, and I learned that our food was refined and processed and it had no nutritional value. But I'm like, what am I supposed to eat? I don't know. And believe it or not, before I discovered this, I went on the Atkins diet. I was high protein, like crap like that, because I was trying to lose weight, which is okay. I mean, but I didn't know anything about healthy things or anything. And but years later, I wasn't on it for a long time, but I do believe that it weakened my kidneys, because eating a high protein diet weakens your kidneys. And years later, I discovered that my kidneys were weak. And so then I discovered macrobiotic cooking. So whole foods, eating everything as close to nature. But my background is in macrobiotic cooking, because I don't know how much I can go into great detail, because I love talking about this. But I read this book by Dirk Benedict called Confessions of a Kamikaze Cowboy. Now, if anybody's watching, Dirk Benedict was a star in the 1980s. He was face on the A-Team, but I fell in love with him as Starbuck on Battlestar Galactica. So, yeah, he was my crush when I was a little girl. And I knew that he had written a book about how he overcame prostate cancer I saw him interviewed on Mike Douglas show, and he talked about this book and how he overcame prostate cancer. And I was still, I was a young girl, but I always remembered that. So as I got older, I would go into bookstores and I would say, hey, do you have this book by Dirk Benedict? Nobody knew what I was talking about. So I was in my early 20s, and I had a friend who worked at a health food store, and I went there to visit him. And there on the bookshelf was Dirk Benedict's book. And I say, like, a ray of light shined on it, and the angels sang, like, ah. To me, that's what happened.
Right.
This book changed my life because it talked about eating as close to nature, eating the way our ancestors did, but it also talked about energy. And I was so drawn to the energy of the food. I was very young at the time, so I wasn't as awake as I am now because I'm empathic and I feel energy. So I was very much drawn to the macrobiotic energy aspect of balancing the yin and the yang. So I already had a background in food, right? I'd been in the restaurant industry. So I found a macrobiotic cooking school, and I went there and I worked for 2 years. I apprenticed there to learn, the particular type of cooking. And from there, I went to cook for people, personal chef services. And then I decided to start teaching cooking classes, which has been a thrill. Because if you want to learn something, teach it. Because my students throughout the years have been asking me question after question. And a lot of times you have the answer, but you don't have the answer. So then you have to go and do more research, right?
Right. Yes.
My students have been so wonderful throughout the years that, and still to this day, every once in a while I'm teaching a class, and just when you think you know everything, you don't. Because I'm still 28 years, I'm teaching. Someone in the audience will ask me a question. I'll be like, oh, no one's ever asked me that before.
Right.
I'm going to have to go research that now, So it's a lot of fun. My favorite thing is teaching. I love teaching the cooking classes. So I've talked a bunch. We have a bunch of comments. Like, did you want to go through those? Is anything interesting there?
Yeah, so I just will take a minute. So first of all, I want to say thank you for explaining all that. And that leads me to having a bunch of questions for you. Tanya is here. Welcome, Tanya. And I know there are a few other people that have not posted any comments, but I know they're watching. Thank you all for being here. Tanya said, I actually went to culinary school back in 2003, but it was all the high fat, salt, sugar, traditional French food, etc. I've had to unlearn it all and then teach myself healthy vegan, whole food, plant-based cooking. And yeah, I mean, that's true. I have a friend also that went to culinary school, and that's what they teach. So it's great to know that there are opportunities to learn whole food, plant-based cooking, and even if it's teaching yourself. And so Tanya also said, yeah, I'm happy because you can transfer knowledge quite easily. I actually used to own a designer cake business too. Wow, we're learning so much about everyone. I closed it in 2014, too much time work, and I had young kids. So yeah, and she rarely bakes cakes now.
I have to just add here that my parents had their 50th wedding anniversary. They've now been married for 60 years, but on their 50th wedding anniversary, we wanted to have a party. And my dad changed his diet too. So they wanted me to make the cake. And I'm not a professional cake decorator, but in Girl Scouts, I learned how to do it. And my godmother was a professional cake decorator. So I had some experience. And I'm telling you, I made a vegan organic cake. And I had my godmother's, I don't know how to describe them, but fancy like plastic poles. So it was like multi-layers like this. And I went to a cake place and I did buy regular decorated rosy flowers, but I was able to, using vegan, organic, healthy, I made this incredible cake. Half of it was chocolate, half of it was vanilla. And everybody who was at the party, we cut it open, we served it. People who know me and they knew I made the cake, they kind of knew it was going to be vegan, but the other people didn't. And everybody's eating it thinking, oh, this is absolutely delicious. So there's always a way that you can take whatever you want to eat or whatever you want to create and make it healthy. Yeah, that was an incredible accomplishment when I made that cake for them.
Wow, that is amazing. And I do want to talk a little bit about the two contributions that you have in the bundle, which is the sensational sublime sea vegetables, say that 10 times fast, and also the healing foods of, is it Polis? Healing teas?
Yep. Poultices.
Poultices, healing teas, and more. You have two of those in there. And I got to ask you to tell us, why you got into learning so much about sea vegetables, because that is so unique. And I don't hear that very much. But as I'm learning about iodine and the importance of that, when I saw your contribution, I was like, I need to learn more about it. And I also made one of your dishes here, but please let us know about that.
Well, sea vegetables were foreign to me too, 30 years ago, but macrobiotic cooking incorporates a lot of sea vegetables. If you start in the macrobiotic world, one of the first things you learn and you eat is miso soup, which features the sea vegetable wakame. And miso soup it cleanses the body, but it also is high in protein. The wakame itself, high in calcium, high in iron, and wakame has the ability to turn like harmful substances that are in your intestinal tract into harmless, they call them salts, but it's a type of sodium, so that your intestinal tract, all that stuff that's stored in there can come out. And that's one of the things that wakame does. And so, my background, I learned about the sea vegetables a long time ago, but they're challenging because most people haven't heard of them. Now, by the way, I call them sea vegetables, but many people call them seaweeds. But I don't know, weed has like a negative energy where vegetables is just a little more promising. And so, yeah, but they're challenging to cook with because people don't know and they expand. When you put your wakame in water, it goes like this and it expands. I've had many students who mistakenly, before they got a hold of my miso soup recipe, the wakame expanded and it became so huge. And they're like, the soup just had way too much wakame in it. And I had to explain, well, sea vegetables are so nutrient dense that you can use a little bit and the nutrients go a long way, but also too, they expand. And so you start, like one of my recipes in the cookbook, it's a layered rutabaga sweet potato casserole, and you only use 2 teaspoons of wakame flakes, because then once you soak them, they expand so much, there's going to be enough wakame for the whole casserole. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Well, okay, of all the recipes that you have in there, you brought up the miso soup with wakame. That's what I made. But I got to tell you, and I'll just show you, I have a smaller bowl here and it is really good. But I went to the store, I didn't have a lot of time to order it and I could not find it. So I don't have wakame in it. In this dish, I want to get it. I ended up using dulse. I know that it's not the same, but
Yeah.
if you have some, oh yes, can you show us what that looks like?
Yeah, so this is wakame. Now, this brand here, Matuko, that's imported from Japan, Matuko. And I get my stuff from a company here in North Carolina. It's Natural Import Company, because I'm a business. I can buy like bulk, but that's Matuko, imported from Japan because it's high quality. But you can also get Eden. Eden has sea vegetables too and everything. And these are what's called wakame flakes.
Yes.
And sometimes, like when I started teaching and working with sea vegetables, they had wakame like in sticks. So actually in the cookbook, I tell you, you can either use like 6 inches of wakame, or I tell you, you can use like a teaspoon or something like that. Because they have the wakame like broken up in pieces now. So it's a little different, but.
Wow. Here, hold on. Let me just spotlight you on that so people can really see. Wow, look at that. Okay, that is totally different than the dulse. And so that little bit will expand and provide
Yes.
cleansing for the colon. That's amazing. That's amazing. And what does that flavor taste like compared to maybe something that's more common like nori sushi or dulse or kelp? I don't know. Is there a similarity?
Well, all sea vegetables are bitter to the taste. So I always, and I put it right in the cookbook. Almost all my recipes that have sea vegetables, they have a naturally sweet component to it because nobody wants to eat food that's overly bitter. They want a sweet flavor. So sweet potatoes, carrots, cooked onions, all those really complement sea vegetables. They are actual plant, like they grow in the ocean, and the ocean has salt water in it. So they're slightly salty too, but they're not overly salty. But it's natural occurring sea salt from the ocean with the iodine in it that you mentioned. So each one has its own unique flavor beyond that. So I would say that kombu is probably the most neutral, that most people don't even realize that it's in there, because if you cook it with beans, which you should always cook kombu with beans to help digest those beans, it basically falls apart and you don't even know it's in there. Nori is the one with the brown rice nori sushi rolls. Now, some people think that that tastes fishy, and I have a couple regular customers I cook for that are not fans of nori. But then you have the people that love brown rice nori rolls, or what is called sushi. But I also, let me show you this here because we're talking about nori. This is another recipe in the cookbook. It's not the nori rolls that people are used to. That recipe is in the cookbook, but this one, the filling is millet and tempeh, and there's a tofu sauce. And I tried to make it completely enclosed all the way around, so it's smaller than like a nori roll, but it's millet and tempeh. And I made these last night.
Wow.
So
wow. I got to ask you. Okay, so I've played around with quinoa in a sushi roll, and it's like it doesn't stick together. So do you teach, is any of this instruction in the bundle to teach people how to make it where it's not going to roll all over the place, and also close that end?
So,
I've never seen that.
Quinoa is a whole grain that falls apart. The energy of quinoa is yin, and it's the energy of summer. Quinoa is the signature whole grain of summer. It feeds and nurtures your brain and your heart. So I use quinoa, here in Michigan, we have different seasons. I use quinoa for salads because it's loose and flowy. But to make a brown rice nori roll, that quinoa is never going to stick together. So brown rice, and I use short grain brown rice, and I have instructions in the cookbook for sure. But guess what? I just uploaded to my YouTube channel me making brown rice nori rolls just this morning. It's Chef Valarie Wilson on YouTube, and I show you how to do it. But here's the key: soak your brown rice. When you soak the brown rice and then you cook it, it becomes sticky brown rice and it holds together. So when you're going to make the brown rice nori rolls, you got to remember, and you can soak it for an hour ahead of time, or you can soak it for like 3 to 5 hours. But you really want to soak it first. It needs to be sticky to come together. Now, the one I just showed you with millet is another whole grain that comes together. Millet holds together, okay? Millet is the signature whole grain of late summer, and it feeds and nurtures your spleen, pancreas, and stomach. I love millet. Millet is nice and creamy, but millet holds together, brown rice holds together, quinoa is not so good in a brown rice nori roll, no.
Okay, you talk about the yin and yang of food, and for somebody that is unfamiliar with that, can you just touch a little bit on what that means in relationship to what you teach and learn?
It's pretty basic and simple. I can give you an explanation, but sometimes the concept is foreign to us, and it takes a little while to really think about it and incorporate it. But once you get it, once you think about it, you can see it everywhere. So yin is the energy that's expansive and it moves upwards. Okay. Yang is the energy that comes together, constrictive, and it moves downwards. So everything has both yin and yang energy in it. We can think of a carrot. So the carrot grows and it's got the green part that moves upward and expands. So the green part of the carrot is the yin part. The orange part is constrictive and it grows downward. So that's the yang part of it. So in the carrot, you have both the expansive yin energy and the constrictive yang energy. And so to create health in your body, you want balanced yin and yang energy, which is why it's always advised that you eat the whole food. I know we can't always find the greens from the carrots. I get it. But sometimes we're lucky and we do. But the idea is to incorporate the vegetables that grow upwards, the yin ones, and the vegetables that grow downwards, the yang ones, which are sometimes referred to as root vegetables. Yeah. And a lot of people, the average American diet, they don't remember the root vegetables. Everybody loves carrots, but there's turnips, there's rutabaga. I love rutabaga. And a lot of people don't remember those yang downward energy type of vegetables. But that's in simple, basic terms what yin and yang is.
Yeah, yang. So I had said it wrong. Thank you so much. So I just want to ask you, potatoes don't really have that yin part, right, that we eat. So would that not be considered? So what would you say anything about potatoes? I'm just thinking of root vegetables that grow under versus like the garlic where there's the bulb and then there's or the onion or something.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, when it comes to your overall diet, we don't have to be so particular. We may not be able to eat the green part of the potato, but we eat the green part of the lettuce, right? So you don't necessarily, if a vegetable grows underground and the green part of it you don't eat, you're eating the green part from a different vegetable. So you're still getting the yin upward energy in the form of a lettuce. Yeah.
Wow, I love that. So I got to ask you, I mean, you've touched on macro, but why are you also known as Macro Val? How did that stick with you?
My name is Valarie Val. And 28 years ago, when I decided to go into business for myself, I was just looking for a business name, and macrobiotic Val. The word macro actually means the whole big thing, right? So I guess I'm the whole big thing Val.
That's great. Okay, I love it. I love it. I just wanted to ask you about that. And yeah, it's really interesting to hear how this whole thing came about with you, what you've studied, and about all these different sea vegetables. I did read in one of your cookbooks that it does talk about why you prefer to call it sea vegetables versus a seaweed. And I love that. And so just, also there's a whole component in your books, or in one of them, about inflammation. Can you touch on how inflammation and like the herbal teas or that book, just anything you can share about the background in learning about inflammation and what's in your book?
Yeah, so that's the second thing I have in the bundle. It's called Healing with Foods. And it was 3 classes that I taught last year. So there's 3 videos. Each one of the videos is about an hour and a half, but there's also a companion booklet that goes along with that. And I learned about inflammation many years ago. And for me personally, once I got into healthy whole foods and everything, I just constantly am learning. Before the internet, read all kinds of books. Now we have the internet. So I was always finding out about the healing properties of the food. And you'd be surprised how many foods have anti-inflammatory properties. Basil, anti-inflammatory, onions, garlic. Onions is one of my favorite. So inflammation, when it first happens, like let's say you accidentally cut your finger, the inflammation may appear but it's slight. It's your body's way of fighting off the cut and helping you heal it. But what we're more concerned with is chronic inflammation. If you don't heal what happened, I'm just using the example of a cut, but it can also be like a major disease like cancer. If you don't fix the inflammation that's growing when it's small and right away, then it keeps growing and growing and it becomes chronic. So inflammation that doesn't get treated and becomes chronic then creates dis-ease in the body. And the dis-ease could be things like arthritis. Arthritis is mainly chronic inflammation, and it comes from all different sources, but it could be from the food that you're eating, because most people keep eating inflammatory foods such as sugar or white flour or refined processed food. So they keep feeding the inflammation and then it becomes chronic. In fact, they say that all chronic diseases come from chronic inflammation. So, and for instance, like the cabbage poultice that I teach you how to make in the Healing with Foods, cabbage poultice whatever, if your elbow hurts or something like that, you could make a cabbage poultice, you could put it on there and it would have anti-inflammatory properties to help heal the body. So we really want to stay away from inflammation if at all possible. And food, there's so many foods that have anti-inflammatory properties. The dead nettles, I pick and harvest dead nettles out of my backyard every year. And so that's one of the foods I cover. That one has strong anti-inflammatory properties. It works really well. And I dry it, but you could also pick it fresh, but then you make a tea out of it. And the tea is actually very tasty. It's not like a, bitter, like yucky, oh, I don't want to taste that tea. That tea's actually got a really nice flavor to it.
That is amazing. It's really interesting to hear you talk about inflammation because that's something that's very close to me. I have been in the past diagnosed with chronic fungal sinusitis, which is an inflammation of the sinuses. I had no idea that equaled or that I could change it from food. No medical doctors ever told me that. I just was, going down that path of doing rinses and compound pharmacy medications and prednisone and all of that. And I stumbled upon the fact that when I changed my diet and I stayed the course, that my doctor, my surgeon, my otolaryngologist, ENT, also known as, was like, there's no inflammation. Like, what are you doing? And I tell this story because it's so fascinating to me that, to me, it was a simple, I changed the way I was eating. But, listening to what you say and how you explained that the food that we eat, if it's not the right kind of food, it feeds the inflammation. It's same with other things, right? Like heart disease and so forth. And so I'm so interested in all of the stuff that you have to share, but I want people to know, if you get the bundle, if you haven't gotten it already, and you've never heard of some of these things that Chef Val is sharing with us, it's an opportunity to learn and not feel overwhelmed. Be curious, because that's where I am. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to learn more. And of course, when you talked about nettle, I feel like I've seen that on the shelves in a store, but I'm guessing that it's probably better
Yeah,
fresh.
and probably what you've seen at stores is stinging nettles. And so the difference is the stinging nettles, the plant, when you pick it, it actually it's like little pins or needles in your hand. It stings you. And that's why the other one's called dead nettles. It seems like such a, not a good name, dead nettles, but it doesn't have the stinging mechanism. So it's dead. But yeah, both plants have that anti-inflammatory property, though they're ever so slightly different, but they're the same family of nettles. Yes, absolutely.
So how would you encourage somebody to control or begin to look at their inflammation through your tea book? Or, is there drink so much of this kind of tea? Or if someone was just starting, what would you say to them?
The specialty teas that are in the Healing with Foods, all of them are anti-inflammatory. and there's something that you can drink on a regular basis. But you can also, I'm going to go back with onions and garlic. Onions and garlic have strong anti-inflammatory properties. And I'm sorry, almost every recipe I make starts with onions. Oh, and Jennifer, I made Jennifer's tart onion sauce. And I also made her black bean mash, but I put sweet potatoes in it. Look, there's hardly any left, Jennifer. But you know what I did yesterday? I put them together. I took I took a spoonful of each
awesome.
and like mixed them together and went, wow, another layer of deliciousness putting the two together. Yeah. So when you get the bundle and you get Jennifer's book, you can make these two and you can actually put them together too.
Awesome, awesome. That's great. Yes, and I have Give Plants a Chance in there as well as a coaching video. And so, yeah, there's so many great things in the bundle. Do you have anything else that you want to share with people about, like, I mean, you're such a book of walking knowledge. It's amazing. I'm so grateful to have connected with you, and I know I have so much to learn from you, but is there anything like specific that we haven't covered that you'd
I'd like
to
to share how the food heals the body. I have two stories. One is my own personal story. I was in my early 20s when I discovered this and changed my lifestyle. So knock on wood, didn't have very many health issues. I did have allergies pretty bad though. The springtime, my eyes would swell up. I have no allergies whatsoever. I was starting to have a little bit of joint pain in my early 20s. That's so early, right? I would go on a long car trip and then I would get out of the car and everything. So none of that. And again, knock on wood, I'm blessed, but I have no joint pain. So when I get up in the morning, it's such a blessing. And it's from my lifestyle. It's from the food. Trust me, no pain. I have friends that are 10 years younger that are constantly complaining about their pain. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had my issues where certain things happen and, I got to, heal my body and everything. I'm talking about a general rule. So I changed my diet, but the one thing that I did suffer with was eczema, which is a terrible skin condition that when it's at its worst, it itches like crazy. And you just have to scratch and scratch and scratch until you bleed. And the eczema came on my hands first. And I went to a regular doctor and he gave me some cream and it went away. But the next year it came back and it was even worse. Now it's on my legs. And so the doctors don't know. I went in there and I said, why do I have eczema? And they tried to tell me, well, it's hereditary. I asked my grandparents, and at that time, my great-grandparents were still alive. Nobody had ever had eczema, ever, in my family. So that's kind of when I gave up on doctors in the medical profession because they didn't know what was going on. I knew that when I ate white refined sugar, I would have an itching attack, and I would just scratch and scratch until I bled. It was bad, bad. So I changed my diet. I had the eczema, actually, it started when I was 18. That was before I changed my diet. I changed my diet, very healthy, macrobiotic, going really good. The eczema seems to go away. Guess what? The eczema came back. Terrible. I had it over almost on my whole body because I was in a really stressful place in my life. I think the stress brought it back on again. So I want to emphasize healthy or, vegan food. We got to have that. But stress will just create havoc on your health. It'll make it so much worse. It's unbelievable. So the eczema came back, which was unfortunate. But the stressful situation I was in, I left that situation and the eczema got better, but I still had it. I did a hair analysis and I found out, and this is why, remember earlier I said I had been on the Atkins diet? I found out that my kidneys were weak. It could have been from the high protein diet I went. And it also told me that my adrenal glands basically weren't working. They were just like sitting there like dull because I was so stressed out. So my body couldn't properly eliminate toxins that were in my body. I had a toxic level of aluminum in my system. I do believe that eczema comes from aluminum and it comes from your body trying to release toxins. So the hair analysis helped me. I went on a supplement protocol And I did even more in my diet. I was already eating such healthy food, but every Sunday I would make this delicious buckwheat pancake breakfast, and I would have blueberries, and I use brown rice syrup and maple syrup. Those are my favorite sweeteners. And I would have that unbeknownst to me, because I was in a weakened condition, I could have no sweets whatsoever. None. So for 3 months, I had nothing, nada, not even fruit, because my adrenal glands weren't working.
Wow.
That was probably health-wise the worst I've ever felt. I was tired all the time. I was in pain. It hurt to put my clothes on. Yeah, it was really something.
Dear.
So you have to find out what's wrong with you, and then you have to adjust the diet accordingly and do things like sometimes a cleanse, where I had no sweets for 3 months. Sometimes you have to do a cleanse, but you need to find out what's wrong with you, and you need to deal with the stress in your life. Stress is a killer. It's a
Yes.
killer. So knock on wood, I'm so healthy to report. That was over 25 years ago. I have no eczema whatsoever. None. It never came back. I've been able to live healthy, pain-free, balanced all this time. And I hear many people talk about how they have eczema, and I can totally relate the pain and the suffering that happens. So my other success story is my dad. About 20 years ago, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And I told my mom and dad, if you want to, I'll help you change. They did. They changed. He went strict vegan, whole food, macrobiotic. And yeah, when you have
Wow.
cancer, you need basic recipes. Simple, not fancy stuff, but that's so the body can heal. And his doctor said, well, you can do that, but that's not going to help. Well, he proved him wrong, because my dad had no medical intervention whatsoever, and he overcame the prostate cancer using food to heal his body. So the power of food
Good for
is
him.
amazing, tremendous. People don't realize that, but that's why Jennifer and myself are here to help you guys realize how powerful. And also, too, let me know what you put in your miso soup, because I'm interested to know. Yeah.
What I did? Oh, I basically followed the instructions, the whole recipe that you have. I thought it was interesting when you were talking about having a sweet component, and I instantly thought, oh, because yours
Yeah,
has
I didn't
the
know if
butternut
you'd be able to
squash.
get the squash or not. And I didn't know if you had to substitute. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I got the butternut squash. I got everything except the wakame. I wasn't able to get that, but I'm going to make this again, and I'm going to get it because I'm excited about it. So I use the dulse. This is the dulse that I have. And I know this isn't the right one, but this is what I thought. And it was interesting, even with that one, to watch when I put it in the water. It didn't expand the way you're talking about the other one, but it did become just a very nice, gentle, this is crunchy, right? And it just was really nice, just kind of floating in the soup. And the other thing that I didn't have, you wanted red miso paste. And I had just a white miso. So I used that one, and I know where to get the red one. So next time I make it, I'm going to make it exactly the way you're teaching. And even still, I got the brown rice. There's more of it, and I already had my husband try it, and he's like, this is really good. Yeah, it is really good. And, it's always sunny here in Arizona. Today it was a rainy day. And so he said, what a perfect day for soup. And I'm like, yes, thanks, Chef
And I want
Val.
everybody to know too, I eat soup for breakfast every morning.
Wow, that's awesome.
Some people
I'll
think
just take
that
the lid
that's
off.
strange, but because I've been doing it for so long, it becomes second nature to me. I mean, soup, you can start your day with soup, and you can put all the vegetables in the soup you want, and you can make them different, just whatever. And then you can put beans in there if you want beans. You can put you can put quinoa in there. So The soup is so versatile, not necessarily the miso soup, but any soup for breakfast, right? Have soup for breakfast. That's what I have. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, I just want to ask you one more question about this. So I know I hear a lot of people talk, and even different doctors. I'm wondering what your opinion is on this. Raw vegetables versus cooked vegetables in healing. Do you find that there's
everybody's different? So some people are going to heal from eating raw foods, and some people are going to heal from eating cooked foods. And I can't explain that. I'm just really happy that people heal from foods. Now, when it comes to the yin and yang energy of things, raw foods are your expansive upward yin energy foods, and cooked foods are your yang constrictive energy foods. And I also, in macrobiotics, and I teach cooking according to the seasons. I know in California, you don't have, like Michigan, we have distinct seasons. So the summertime is when you eat your more yin foods, when I would eat more salads and more raw foods, because they're yin, they're expansive, and they're associated with hot summer because they help cool my body down. Now, in the wintertime, when it's cold here in Michigan, the cooked foods are yang, they're warming. And so they help keep my body warm. So I eat differently in the summer than I do in the winter. Some people think this is weird, but in the wintertime, very rarely do I eat a salad because it's cooling to the body and I don't want to be cool. And then in the summertime, I don't make vegetable stews except for maybe once in a blue moon, because a stew, you put sweet potatoes and you put turnips, you got all your, warming foods. You make this delicious stew, which I love in the winter, but I don't eat that in the summer. So I eat according to the seasons also. And there are certain foods from, my research, certain foods get digested better when they're cooked. And then certain foods get digested better when they're raw. And then there's people that eat all raw food and they're ridiculously healthy and they healed themselves. And that's fantastic because, again, I believe everybody's different and you need to listen to your body and you need to do what your body tells you. I've had many people that I work with that tell me things like, well, I thought I was supposed to eat this. Like this one lady had really bad arthritis. Her hand was like crooked. And we sat down and we had a consultation. I was working with her and she started to do smoothies. And she was putting in her smoothies spinach. Now, I know some people like spinach and that's fine, but spinach is a nightshade vegetable. And this woman had arthritis really, really bad. And I said, oh, please don't put spinach in your smoothie. And she said, since she started doing the smoothie and putting spinach in it, her arthritis got worse. And I said to the dear lady, I said, oh, you need to listen to your body. You try something, healthy whole foods, you want to try it. But if your body starts to feel worse, that should be a big sign to you that this isn't working. Your body should start to feel better. And so everybody's different. This woman could not eat spinach. It was not good for her condition, where some people eat spinach and they don't have a problem with it, right? Everybody's different. And so you got to listen to your body and hear what your body is saying too.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, because like you said, everyone is different and different foods work for different people. But the idea is to eat the whole food and not the processed stuff. And it's very healing and nurturing. This has been really fun. And I don't see any other questions in the chat. So I do want to ask you, what out of the bundle sticks out to you?
I yesterday interviewed Connie DeKramer. I think you talked to her too. I mean, there's so many things. I can't pick a favorite, but hers is one of my favorite. It's called The Magic of You, and it's 8 videos, and it's spiritual. I'm a very spiritual person too. And it's finding the magic of you, and it's loving yourself. And it's not like mind shattering, whatever. It's very simple, calming, peaceful messages from Connie. And after listening to her, it just, you're going to feel good. It's one of my favorite things in the bundle now. I really like it. And there's so many e-cookbooks and nutritional books that something as beautiful as that, I keep telling people about it now too. Yeah, the Magic View.
Yeah, she is very, very wise, and she's 81 years old, and I've spent time with her in person. She's just a lovely lady, and yeah, her message is really, really wonderful. Thank you for sharing that one. Any others that stick out for you that you?
There's so much.
I know there's so much, but
Sid Notter's course about reading food labels. I think everybody needs to watch that, because as many times as I've said it till I'm blue in the face, read food labels, people still don't read food labels, and they need to. And your friend Janet, the lady who travels on her bicycle, wow, is she inspiring?
Yeah.
It's like, if anybody is on the fence and they don't know whether or not they should eat healthy, whole foods, just listen to Janet or her bike, or you have to tell me what is it that's in the bundle, but it's recipes for traveling on her bike. And she's just so inspiring. Yeah. I don't see anybody who listened to her or looked at her book wouldn't want to try this out, at least, right?
Yes, that's another great one. Yes, plant-powered peddler, yeah. Janet, and she is a close friend of mine, and I have so much to learn from her, so much to learn from everyone. And yeah, you're right. The bundle has so much wonderful information in it. And like you said, there's video series, there's cookbooks, there's recipes, there's just so much. And for $49, you got to click the link. Where can they click the link?
So my website is macroval.com. Then the link to buy the bundle is right on the homepage. My YouTube channel is Chef Valarie Wilson. And just like Jennifer, I've been interviewing people from the bundle all week. But I've also been uploading videos where I'm making some of my recipes. Like I said, the brown rice nori rolls, if you want to learn how to do it. This is my peanut butter hiking treat with dulse.
Oh,
yeah. So I call it a hiking treat because I make it and then I put it in a little baggie and I throw it in my backpack when I go hiking. And so that recipe is up there. Aramay and corn. There's a video up there how to make the aramay and corn. Oh, and chocolate cookies with nori. These cookies are nice and soft, like a brownie. The video and the recipe for that is on Chef AJ's channel. But you can go check out these videos and you can get the recipe. I digress. So Instagram, it's Chef Val, Macroval, and Facebook, it's Macroval Food. And then,
Very cool. Very cool. This has been so fun. I am just so excited to continue to learn more about sea vegetables and try a lot of your recipes, including check out all of the stuff that you taught in the other book as well about herbal teas and more. And so I just want to say you've got till the 10th of March, and then that's it. And we wouldn't be encouraging you if we didn't really believe that this is such a great wealth of information.
So I wanted to say that one of my favorite things about the bundle is that I got to meet you, Jennifer. Because I found out about you because of your healing journey story. And I was a subscriber to your YouTube channel, but I just knew who you were, and you're such a sweetheart. And then I found out you were in the bundle, and then I interviewed you, and you told me you did 76 push-ups a day. And I was like, I have to tell you, I've been calling people and telling them about the bundle, some of them my students. I have told everybody about you. You are the one that I tell everybody about.
I so appreciate that. I really feel a lot of gratitude towards that. Thank you so much. Just wanting to share, it gave me my life back, the food, the right food, the whole food. And if you're watching and you're struggling in any way, it might be something to look into. What am I putting into my body? Because if you change it, you might find that you can heal too. Thank you so much, Val. I feel very blessed to have been able to spend time with you today and to get to know you. And I plan on staying connected. And so anyways, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to eat your greens, and please give plants a chance. You won't regret it. You have till the 10th of March, and then it's over. So thank you again, Val. You're amazing. And